But that brings us to the World Series being the Yankees and Dodgers, two of the biggest markets in all of baseball.
So when Sam asked the question originally,
crazy.
So I don't really count them. Well, the Mets are on a whole nother planet kind of, but the Yankees are right there too. So the Mets are at 317 million. The Yankees are 309, and then it kind of comes back to reality. So New York's just decided to be like in another tax bracket because then it drops to 255 with Houston, and then 247, 241 is the Dodgers. Which again, the Dodgers technically are probably like
the Dodgers are at 300 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Dodgers are over.
Yeah,
they're over. If they're actually paying Ohtani what his contract really is, they're probably over that. But that is what they are. But I think this proves two things. One, obviously, yes, we all know big markets, big money, blah 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 blah. But this does still prove to the teams like the Mariners, who are an argument. We argue with them all the time. All these other teams that are trying to win. Sometimes spending money does get you there.
Yeah, I think you have to spend the money correctly.
That's the big thing. Because like the Mets, you look at their 317, you go, okay, I know they just made the championship series, but
you wouldn't think from who they have.
Like the past
it was
2
Max
years,
Scherzer
I was like,
and Justin Verlander, they're paying a crap ton of money right now.
And
and
that's
they're
the thing. It's
clearly not on
they're
their
still
team.
Paying.
Yeah,
that's what's killing the Mets right now.
So so you look at like their active man rosters. The active man is 186 for the Mets. Out of the 309, 260 is actually being paid by the Yankees to their active roster.
So the Yankees are actually the spending money is actually going to their players.
The Mets are only spending 186,000 on their active. Man.
That's what I was saying. Insane. Yeah, that's what I was saying. And then the Dodgers are at 171 out of the 241. Now again, of course, if you throw in Ohtani's real contract, it's a lot more. But I mean, again, they snuck through and they figured out a way to get around it. So fair play to them. I mean, he's doing the Tom Brady type aspect where he's like, I'll pay paid later and I'll build a championship team, and look at him. They're probably
there.
And to be fair, I believe some of that also, that 260, part of that's Giancarlo's. I believe some of that's still also being paid back to us by the Marlins.
I think you're probably right to an extent. I don't know how that all works. I mean, like you look at these things like injury obviously
front-ended deal, but still.
Yeah, and because I don't know what retained and buried means based off of pay when it says it in there, because you're like 19 and retained. I don't know what that means, and 4.4 and buried. I don't know what that means.
Probably in incentive money, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Or perhaps on players that were like DFA'd.
You have to have more
injured
incentive
or something like that.
I don't know.
I'm really not sure.
No idea. But anyway,
there's an injury.
There is an injury one. You guys are at 25 mil, so literally you're probably missing one player. Seriously.
DJ.
Yeah, DJ LeMahieu's out. That's it. There it is.
Well, he's not that big, but there's a couple other guys I can't even remember right now. But yeah.
But it does prove the fact still that
spending does work.
Big markets are still just dominating, which is, I think, I don't want to go after it because it's like I don't want to be like, oh, Yankee fans, like you guys suck, whatever. But it's like I personally just like to see the little guy every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I think it's just more fun when you see those random Kansas Cities, those random teams, Cleveland's or whatever, that pop up in the World Series where it's like, hey, these guys really shouldn't be here. And it's just, I think the whole country's more like, yay. And now the game you watch, it's like everyone's gonna be like, yay, it's the superstars. But it's like,
then people that are wearing a Yankees hats or a Dodgers hat that have no idea what they're wearing, they're gonna get asked questions. I'm like, oh, I didn't know I was actually wearing a baseball team.
But I mean, but it is, again, it is what it is.
That's different. You can't have the culture side of it.
It is a culture thing, I won't lie. Because you see like Yankee hats like in like Asia countries.
Literally everywhere.
It's everywhere. I think it's better to me to have them on each end of the coast, though.
At least it represents East and West. So.
If it was like I said, if it was going to be like a Subway Series, I think it would honestly have turned off a lot of people. Because like for the West Coast, a lot of the games are going to be really early in the afternoon. People are probably still just getting off work to be able to watch a Subway Series, and vice versa. Now it's like we're still going to be getting off work when it's in New York, but we also get to watch it at 6 o'clock or whatever. For which sucks for the East Coast.
8 o'clock for every game.
Yeah. Is it 6 o'clock every game?
No, 8 p.m. Eastern.
So 5 o'clock. So there are 5 o'clock. So which is about right, which is not terrible, but it's kind of annoying for some of us because some people do get off work. But it's whatever. I mean, it's what it is. And
it's not fair to the East Coast audience to make it
of course,
a 10 o'clock start.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And it was interesting. So we were talking with, when Phil was here, the guy we do NASCAR with, because he's from Baltimore, he was talking about, he goes, it's so weird you guys start work at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I'm like, well, yeah, that's just what it is because we have to go with the East Coast time because that's when everyone's awake on the East Coast is at 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
they actually have the 9 to 5. Yeah.
Like at 6 a.m. here, technically.
Because they have the 9 to 5 in New York. When everyone says that, the West Coast doesn't have a 9 to 5. I mean, I work 7 to 3. Like, we don't have a 9 to 5 here. It's just what it is. Unless you're I don't know, a weirdo.
Hardware store employee. I'm just kidding.
It's just different. Yeah, it's just different. So you kind of have to try to appease the both. But I think it's going to be a great series.
I think it's two juggernauts, honestly, and I think
so.
they were expected to get here. They didn't get here as smoothly as you would have thought.
That's fair.
But yes, I mean the Yankees have some seriously good players. I mean Judge still hasn't showed up, and they beat the Guardians 4-1. So I mean Stanton and Soto are still there. I know Gleyber Torres is kind of a little bit underrated. It seems like he's having a really good postseason. Yeah, I mean they have so many good players. They have Rizzo back that had a decent couple games. I mean.
Rizzo just gives you that kind of experience too. Like
he's been there and done that.
He gives you a good at bat.
He'll just grind an at bat. But yeah, these are two of the top 3 teams in baseball. Philadelphia is the only one that was in front of the Yankees, and the Dodgers were the best team in baseball. So like, these are teams you expected to be there.
Yeah, which normally doesn't happen. So it's
not usually. I mean, last year was 2 wildcard teams.
Yeah,
and
it's been a while. I feel like since 2 really, really good, like both on either side, the AL and NL have made it. But just going with the Yankees first, what do you guys think? We'll start with Kellen. Is going to be kind of their most important thing they need to focus on?
Pitching. It's so dumb. I think the starting pitching will be fine. I think you have your Hill, Hill, whatever his name is, the rookie. You have Cole, Gil, whatever. You have these guys. You have enough starting pitching to where I think you're going to be okay. Yeah, Rodon. You have veteran players that I think will be able to get.
They got Stroman back, right?
Yes. I don't know if he's actually on
okay.
He should be. He should be available, and I don't know.
I think Nestor technically is, but I don't know.
Okay, I'll say even if he doesn't start, that'd be a nice.
That's what I was alluding to.
Okay, I'll say even if it doesn't
out of the
start,
pen would be nice if we need him.
That's what I was going to say. That'll be huge.
Yeah,
but you're likely going to have Cole, Hill, Gil, and probably Rodon going. Those will probably be your 3, and then everyone else is extra. I think there's just a massive difference, obviously, to Cleveland's bats to the Dodgers' bats. And
They're
I
just
think
stacked.
The bullpen of the Yankees is
insane.
the most, it's going to be the most critical thing in the entire series. It's not just for the Yankees, but I think for the Dodgers as well, because the Dodgers are going to score a couple runs every game. Like that, I don't think you're going to shut out the Dodgers, in my opinion. Like that's just what it is. I don't think you're going to shut out the Yankees, though. The bats that are hitting are so on fire with, like you said, Stanton, Soto, Torres has been playing really well. Even Rizzo's been hitting the ball pretty well. You'd think that Judge will show up a little.
He's getting there. He's getting there.
Yeah, a little bit.
He's getting there.
But I just think if the bullpen of the Yankees can hold off the Dodgers to like limiting them to like 1 or 2 runs, I think you'll be okay. But I think if the Dodgers turn it on, I just don't think you have
it'll be interesting.
Late inning pitching.
That's for sure.
Cousins has been super good. Like Cousins has been really good. You've had a couple guys that have been really good. Yeah, Weaver's been fine. But like after that, your bullpen's kind of weak, which really is like the really interesting thing to me going into it. Because I think Cleveland could not get a base hit off of anyone.
Yeah.
But now you're going against Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, like Hall of Famers, not just like really good players. Like
I also
you would against like Ramirez.
In that same conversation, I think that our pitching is better than the Mets pitching.
That's probably fair.
So it is gonna be just as counterbalance. I don't think they're gonna be as lopsided games as that NL series was. I think they're gonna be closer, more like what the American League series and the Yankee series have been. I hope that they are close. I don't know. My kind of side of it with the Dodgers is I don't know how deep their pitching really is.
I was going to say that's going to be my Dodgers one.
Is Flaherty. I don't know how deep that really is on their side. So once we get past their starters, I mean, the Yankees bats, we can get through them, and then their bullpen could be in tough shot, just like the Guardians were.
I agree. And it's going to be interesting, too, because obviously there's the big rumor, like, will Ohtani pitch? I don't think he pitches unless Game 7 finals. Like, he has to.
He doesn't pitch at all. He won't.
I agree with you. I'm just saying if it's like Game 7, bottom of the 9th, and he's like, yeah, I can come in and throw the freaking inning, he might. That would be like the only case that he could come in and do it. Otherwise, I don't see him doing it. You got to think Yamamoto's got to have, the leash has got to be off. It's the World Series. Like, he's been limited to like 4 innings, 70 pitches or so, and 80
if he can
pitches.
do it.
The last couple innings or last couple outings he's had, he's proven that he can do it. And you would think that you got for the World Series, you got to let the leash off and just be like, dude, go pitch a no hitter.
Yeah, but playoff baseball is also like you have a short leash. That's the problem. Because if you can't let any runs at all,
that's very fair.
So that's
a very good way to put it. But I'm just saying, like, if he's actually having a solid outing,
you have to let him.
You just have to let him go.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
But I don't know because I agree with you because you've been having every 3 games has been a bullpen game for them.
Yeah,
which is just
that ain't gonna work against the Yankees.
I don't think it will, but it's just tiring them out.
There's no way.
And I don't know who else the Dodgers could even think about putting.
Like they're Kopech. Kopech has been a starter before, but I don't think that's a good idea.
He's been their bullpen. Like, that's what I'm saying. He's been starting bullpen. He's like been 2 or 3 innings max starting. But, so I don't know where they're because they have literally Buehler, who's been
actually, I wrote that down. I totally forgot about that.
Buehler's been poopy.
He is going to be what decides the series, in my opinion, honestly. Because if Flaherty's been good enough, they can get a win with him. They could if Yamamoto is there. I mean, that's another win that they could pull out if the offense is there because I think he's going to give up some runs. But if Walker Buehler is able to throw like 7 innings of 2-run ball and they win that game, that's 3 games. And then they could just sneak out another one. Mm-hmm. But Buehler, I think, honestly, is going to be my player to watch because if he's good, I think the Dodgers, outside of those players you named with Freeman, Betts, they have so many players. Ohtani and Hernandez, or Teoscar Hernandez. They have like guys like Kike Hernandez, Gavin Lux, and Tommy Edman. They have also all been really good. Mm-hmm. And those guys are not what you'd expect. They're bottom of the lineup guys. Yeah. But if those continues, that's going to pressure the Yankees pitching, which we just talked about again. So it's going to come down to.
It is interesting. I feel like both pitching is like both starters are fine. They can get the job done, but it's the bullpens are just so question marks. You don't know what you're either gonna get a perfect game or you're gonna give up 450. Like it's incredible how both bullpens have just fallen apart. And I mean, there's obviously a million injuries on like the Dodgers side. I know for a fact.
Both starting rotations are both very rocky as well.
Yeah, but I agree.
Down the line, both sides, 1 through 4, 1 through 3, whatever they decide to go with. Any one of those starters could get ran in the 3rd inning.
Get ran in the 1st inning. I mean, that's the thing is like you look at
3 innings.
And you look at the offense on both sides, and you go, well, yeah, duh. Like you try to pitch 1, 2, 3 against friggin' Torres, Soto, and Judge, or Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. Good, no one can do that every time. Like that's just not going to happen. You're going against literal. Arguably a couple, probably 5 Hall of Famers out of those 6 guys. No offense, Gleyber Torres, but probably not. But
100%.
But like.
It's crazy.
They're really good offenses.
That's why they pay. I mean, that's why their payrolls are so high.
It has to be
super freaking good players.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting.
But let's see it. So World Series prediction. We'll start with Nick. I already know he's gonna pick.
Yeah, Nick's kind of the easy one. He's got the Dodgers in 4.
Yeah.
No, I really, really would like something. Part of me is telling me Yankees in 5, but. I really do think it's like I'm obviously going Yankees. I think it's going to go Yankees in 6 or 7. Okay. But something in me, I don't know if it's that there's a sneaking chance I might be able to go to Game 5, but like part of me inside is saying Yankees in 5. I know that's what we just did against Cleveland and everything, but part of me just Yankees in 5 would be insane. The roadmap to that is 1 win in LA and just win at home. Just 1 win in LA and win at home. That's all it takes.
Yeah, that's fair.
That is.
I mean,
Yankee Stadium's going to be electric just because
there's
probably going to be a minimum of about in 3 games. If they get all 3 games, there's going to be a minimum about 47 home runs.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like that? It's a small ballpark.
Ohtani's going to hit. Yeah, I said Ohtani's
going to hit one over the outfield.
He's going to hit 4 in 3 games probably.
Probably.
Honestly.
Ridiculous. All right, Kellen.
I hope that doesn't happen, but yeah.
Actually, who's going to be your MVP then for the Yankees?
So, I mean,
don't say Aaron Judge. Just don't even lie to yourself.
I'm not.
Thank you.
I'm not. I gotta feed the hot hand, and we gotta pray that the hot hand stays hot.
Which one?
I want the American League Championship Series MVP to win the World Series MVP. His quote was, "This isn't the trophy I want. I'm after the next one." So I want him raising the next one, and I need him to show up the same way he did in this one. So Giancarlo Stanton,
I think it'd be cool.
Be the American League Championship MVP and the World Series MVP.
Honestly, I'd be cool with it.
Insane. It would silence a lot of haters.
Yeah, he's struggled. Not struggled.
He's struggled. He's not had
seasons when he shows up.
Yeah.
I've hated on him. Everyone's hated on him.
Yeah.
Everyone's hated on him.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's
been tough.
For what he
but
when
in
he
the
got
playoffs, he shows up.
Yeah,
he does.
And for when he got traded to the Yankees, I'm not gonna say he's had like a bad career, but his career is definitely like leveled out
Been
to where
like very-
people were like,
Yeah.
we really expected this guy to be like the next Babe Ruth.
Well, you
and
thought
he's
he was going to
really-
be what Aaron Judge is now. Honestly.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, that's
every
kind
day.
of what you were
And he's
expecting.
not, been. Like, you
Yeah.
look at it, and he's not been bad.
Less average, but yeah.
Yeah, 100%. He's been an above average player, and almost every team in baseball would take him if they probably could. Maybe not for the pay, but like he's an above average DH. Like he's very, very solid. He's very dependable. But he's been so good in the playoffs.
He's been a Yankee for 7 years. We envisioned him being in the outfield with Judge for a couple of those years, and the legs that didn't happen. We pictured a 50, 60 home run season out of him 7 years ago, not Aaron Judge.
That's fair.
Aaron Judge was never part of the roadmap. I mean, it was a maybe, hey, we have this kid that's coming up that could be staying support.
Exactly.
But that was never the vision. Then Judge came up, and that was, how that all came. But I mean, I think it's his time. I think it's what he's got to do. He's gonna show up. Big dog's got to eat.
That's very fair. He's a big dog. He's a big
got to
dog.
eat.
He's a big dog.
I'd love to see him do it again. Also, I feel really bad. I feel that I didn't shout him out earlier. I said Soto. I mean, Soto's a very honorable mention, and Judge, we have to have him. And Glaber, honestly, he could have been an MVP in some people's minds too. And there's a lot of pitchers that did great, but I mean, hopefully we are the ones crowning a MVP to the series is all I have to say.
We'll see. All right, Kellen.
No, I gotta go opposite. I gotta go West Coast.
Of course I know you do.
I was talking to someone about this today, and I went, and this was maybe kind of. I know Sam will probably go, but I think watching the Yankees this playoffs has re-sparked them being my worst favorite team again. Like I think I'm like, okay, I don't like the Astros. I still don't like them for what they did. But now
they're number one.
But now I look at them. I knew you were going to say that. But now I look at them and I'm like, it's a totally different team, and I don't really care. Like Bregman sucks. Like he's super overrated. Like, he's not bad, but like he's not what he was.
They still got the number one guy. So
yeah, and Altuve's still proving that he is good enough without cheating, obviously. But he did cheat, and it does. It's like A-Rod. It's like all the guys who cheat. Robinson Cano, I have a massive hate towards him. Like it's just like you're annoying. I just don't think I could watch the Yankees lift it. I think there's two things. One, they're kind of like, and I know people compare them, they're kind of like the Cowboys. You won't hear the end of it, and I don't want to hear it at all. And the Dodgers are just like, they've been really good, and I'm like sick of them, but I also really would like to see Shohei get one because I feel like that would just solidify him as like arguably the greatest talent baseball has ever seen. But he has to win one, in my opinion. I think they are going to sneak it out, but I think it is going to go pretty deep. I think it's going to go 6. But I think the Dodgers, one, they have the experience, the manager. I think that's what it's going to come down to, too.
Yeah, I saw he has 52 or 56 postseason wins, which is
Dave Roberts is very good.
All time.
Yeah.
So.
And I know, yes, you can argue that, he's got a stud of a, it's like, oh my gosh, you took over Alabama, Kellen DeBoer. How are you not winning? Like,
exactly.
I agree with that, and I'm not disagreeing with that. He has the roster to do it, but like anyone would say, like Phil Jackson said, they play the game, I tell them what to do. And, Phil Jackson, yes, he literally has had 2 of the 3 best players ever with Kobe and Michael Jordan. But he had to do something to control them and do that. So there is an aspect to the managing, but I agree. Yes, he's had superstar players, but you could also argue, hey, Aaron Boone, you've also had some pretty freaking good players. I was
going to say the other way. A lot of times it's hard. I think it's very difficult to judge managers when a guy like Aaron Boone, the only team he's ever managed is a $250 million payroll team.
100%. I agree, because you look at Stephen Vogt,
Dave Roberts, you can say the same.
Yeah.
Right. Or the guy from
the Brewers or anything like that. Like the Brewers literally have all rookies, and it's like, okay, this guy's a pretty good manager.
Those guys, I think, deserve way more credit.
100%.
Whereas these guys are dealing with a bunch of established all-stars.
Totally.
And they're organizing and teaching and orchestrating all-stars. It's a little bit different.
I agree with you.
Guys, you guys do it.
And I agree. And I think the difference still is
he's just been there for a long time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is Dave Roberts been there, done that. Like he knows how to handle these situations a lot better than Boone does. He just knows the gratitude of this massive moment or whatever. I think the Dodgers will win it. Again, I think it's going to be a long series. I want it to be a long series. I would love to be able to watch both these teams go at each other quite a bit. I think Dodgers in 6, and then I'm going to go under the radar. Sam might get mad at me again because I just know him. I think Teoscar Hernandez is going to sneak an MVP.
That's not a horrible shout, but it's going to make me so upset.
Yeah, because like Mariners.
Yeah.
But he's been so clutch in certain moments in like the last series and the series before, to where I think he's going to be that guy where it's going to be like game 6, they're going to be down, and he's going to walk up, whack a 3-run home run. That's all he's going to do all series, but it's all that matters, and that's what he's going to win the MVP because of that. That's how I feel like it's going to happen.
I don't hate that. I mean, I hate that because I want the outcome. But Teoscar is one of the guys I'm very worried about.
Yeah.
When we played this year, he killed us this year, earlier in the year. Yeah. And it was him and it was Mookie. Like, we will see what happens, but he is, I think, a key player that to watch in the sense that we have Glaber as like one of the guys.
100%.
That's not the $20 million guy. That's not the $30 million guy. These are the $5 to $8 million guys on the team that are going to be the difference.
No, and I agree with you. And I don't want to, like, yes, I could just say, like, yeah, I'm going to take Ohtani or Mookie Betts. Like, nah, yeah, fun, whatever. Yeah. I don't want to do that because that's just too boring for me. I think Teoscar is kind of going to be that dark horse where you're going to be, like, you can, like, see Yankee Stadium going, like, because I think Teoscar is batting 4th right now. I think it was what he was batting last year. I think it was still Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teoscar.
I think Edman is right now. I think he's hitting 5th.
Okay.
It's going
to be one of those things where you're like,
yeah.
It's going to be one of those things where you're like, yes, Ohtani's out. Yes, Betts is out. And then it's going to be like, we didn't expect Teoscar to do anything. It's going to be, it's kind of one of those guys where he just is under the radar. The pressure is not on him and he can just go with it. But Samantha,
I'll round us out. Dude, I was going back and forth this whole time because when I started, I was the Yankees. That's what I put down. But I put Yankees ? I was like, I don't know, but I want to hear what these guys have to say because I just can't decide. And then when we started getting into it, we talked about the Dodgers. I was like, that offense, I personally think it's better than the Yankees because they just have so much. And they're full. And besides Freddie Freeman, they're at full strength.
And they just have experience, I think,
they just have so many good hitters. Yeah. But then if you look at that pitching, it's like, what do they really have? So for me, it came down to it was pitching because I think the Yankees offense has the ability to match the Dodgers offense. I don't think it's better, but they have the players and star power to match it for sure. But I think Cole and Rodon are marketably better than Yamamoto and Flaherty. I think Flaherty's pretty good, but he also hasn't been known to be super good. I mean, he was an all-star with the Cardinals and then out of nowhere just kind of sucked for a while and then came back, resurfaced with the Tigers this year and then traded to the Dodgers. But it hasn't been like that guy that's been like super good veteran. Consistent. And then yes, he has had a good postseason
last year, but yeah.
So he's had a good postseason. He's
a big injury guy,
but
he's big up and down with his career. But
yeah. So that's just kind of what I think with him and then Yamamoto. I think he'll be good eventually, but I just don't think he's quite there yet.
Really?
First year in the league.
Yamamoto's filthy already.
But that's my
just
opinion.
Gets injured. That's fair.
So I'm gonna pick the Yankees. I do think it's gonna go 7 though, because I think, like I said, those offenses are gonna just exchange blows. That off the starting pitching is. And yeah, I think it's somehow some way. I don't know if they're going to be pitching or bullpen, but each offense is going to get to the teams. I think they're going to be high scoring. I don't think the pitching is going to hold them down. But a guy that's actually mentioned a couple times as my MVP is kind of that underrated guy is going to be Gleyber Torres. I think he had a super solid CS, and I think he's going to continue into the World Series. That's a guy that I've wanted the Mariners to pick up for like 3 years now because he's been on like the chopping block a little bit with the Yankees, and we've needed a second baseman. So I was like, please.
Well, and if this happens, we won't pick him up and because he's going to get paid $1 billion from somewhere else, and the Mariners will. Oh no, you're not worth.
But this is a guy.
I was going to say, who's a free agent after this season.
Yeah.
He's just
if he wins MVP, someone's paying him.
Yeah, because he was in the trade
Robbie
for
Cano blueprint.
Yeah, he was the guy that was traded for Aroldis Chapman. So he's been that like super top prospect, but not quite lived up to it. Been like on the brink pretty much the entire time. I feel like
had like blips.
Yeah, like super good glimpses of like, okay, this is what we thought that number 1 prospect would be. But I think this is it. I think this is going to be Gleyber Torres' time, and I think the Yankees are going to win in 7, even though they are probably my second most hated team. Honestly, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I really don't like Ohtani. Like, there's nothing that he's done that like to make me not like him. But and I totally understand his talent. I will never argue that. But for some reason, like I just don't really like him. Like I don't know why. Like I've tried to figure it out.
It's so funny to me because
it's not that he's not good or not that he's not a good person. But I don't know. I'm just not a fan.
I think
there's questions on his character.
Yeah, we're fair with that, like the betting stuff and stuff that. But I think I like him, and I don't know if it's kind of that Ichiro type of aspect or whatever. And it's not because they can't speak English or anything like that, but they are just quiet, humble, and maybe it's a Japanese thing.
It could be,
but
like,
they're just
I'm not saying-
quiet.
yeah.
It's a very big cultural.
Yeah, very humble, very just quiet. We go about our thing, and then you see, I don't even know about baseball. Who's kind of, Mookie Betts is pretty flashy and obnoxious. Jazz Chisholm is very obnoxious a lot of times. Like there are guys like that where you're like, hey, you are very, very good, but like you're annoying. And I don't want to, and I agree with you. I don't know why you don't, but I just look at Ohtani.
Yeah, I'm
like,
not saying that he's not talented. Totally see that for sure.
And I agree with the betting thing. There is obviously question marks there. I don't know, I don't know how real, whatever. I don't know. But you look at it and you just go, this dude just shows up, yanks a baseball, and then goes home. And I love that about him. Like it's like kind of like Mike Trout. Mike Trout's very similar. Goes home, shows that he's still considered one of the best players in baseball, or goes to the ballpark, does that, and then goes home. Or goes to a Philadelphia Eagles game and then does what he wants. Like those are the type of players that I'm like, hey, I know you're on the other team. I can still like Yordan Alvarez. I think Yordan Alvarez is a very, very talented. I've got nothing against him. Kyle Tucker could care less. I know they're on the Astros.
No, I do like both.
But they're just quiet guys and they just rake. They're just good, and I can't be mad at them. Yes, now Altuve and Bregman. Yeah, screw you guys. Like you guys cheated. Robinson Cano, you cheated. Nelson Cruz, I love you for the Mariners, but you cheated. A-Rod, you cheated. Like, I don't like any of those type of guys that have cheated. I just don't. That's not how I feel like baseball should be.
I think, actually, I know why I don't like him. It's because everybody loves him so much because he's so talented.
He is the face.
And I totally get it, but it's like a little bit like, can I just watch another player?
That's not.
I think that's
they
why.
Definitely ESPN's on
That's
their knees
the one
for him at all times.
That's what I'm saying.
That is very
like
fair.
I totally recognize his talent, but I'm like, there are other teams with a lot of other players that maybe not as good, obviously, but are still really talented.
I just realized. I don't know what we were just talking about. Different things. Brett Gardner and Johnny Damon weren't the only players that played left field and center field.
Wow, you are bringing it back, baby. 2009. Here we go.
Let's hear it.
Melky Cabrera was also.
Oh my gosh! No way.
Cabrera was still
what
playing.
a freaking guy!
I thought that name.
Wow.
That throws me back. That would be the show like 08.
Yeah,
that is so funny.
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Chamberlain, Phil Koch, AJ Burnett.
Oh my gosh, AJ Burnett.
He won a
What a
ring.
guy. Pirates
That
legend.
rotation that year, Kellen, was CeCe, Burnett, Andy Pettit, and that was it. It was the three of them.
You know what's crazy? That's still not as good as our bullpen. I know we didn't win a World Series. It's not still good as our rotation, and we still didn't even get to the playoffs, which is even crazier. We had 5 guys that
we had Phil Hughes coming out of the pen.
Yeah, Phil Hughes. You didn't have the tall guys still, though. Yeah, that guy wasn't there yet. Who's the super? No. Super tall. Came out of your bullpen for a little bit, then got traded, went to the.
Oh, Andrew Miller.
Yeah, Miller. Yeah. He wasn't there yet.
No, he was like 17-ish.
But you still had Rivera.
We had Mariano. We had David Robertson.
Oh, yeah, he's good. He's still good now.
Yeah, Damaso Marte was a stud that postseason, and we had Jabba. Jabba Chamberlain.
Jabba the Hutt. Golly. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think it's going to be a crazy series no matter what.
Too.
I think it's going to go minimum 5. I would love it to go 7 because I just feel like that's way more exciting. It was funny. I was watching like the WNBA finals last night, and it was game 5, which is their final game. And I was like, this is just entertaining because it's literally just the final game. Like, and I feel like to me, like I watch, and I get why we do it in the US because we're so money driven, but I love watching like soccer where it's literally this game is it.
Yeah.
You have to watch this game. It's like the Super Bowl. This is it.
Yeah.
You play one game. And I get this
so
series
much different.
Like that.
That's the one thing.
And soccer's not always like that.
Most of the championships there are a couple like 2-legged things, but all the finals are that way, except for like the league and stuff. Like if you win the Premier League, you just win the season. And I agree. I just think the one-off games to me are way more exciting. Like game 1 through 3, they do have some significant impact. But if I don't watch them, it does not make a difference.
That's why I used to like the wild card because it was like a game 7.
It literally was a one-game series.
It was just so intense. Yeah, I loved it.
Baseball, it's so hard to decide a winner in a playoff series. For baseball and hockey
and basketball.
Baseball,
it's all
hockey, and basketball. Those 3. I mean, you can't let one game decide it all.
I agree. I agree. And I get it. I mean, some guys could have a bad game, and that's just the way it is. But it's like, I don't know. I love a game 7.
Idea
and
of
I think
forcing it all.
Yeah, I love the idea where it's literally like you have, whoever comes, like when Madison Bumgarner came out, was it game 7 came out of the bullpen?
Yeah.
And it was like, he's like on 3 hours rest, and it's like he started the game.
That is super cool.
That to me is like, okay. this is what we want. This is what we're going to remember.
But then, you know, we have guys like Robbie Ray that come out.
Robbie Ray, but it wasn't game 7, so it didn't matter. That was game 2.
It was
didn't
horrible.
But
didn't matter.
Thank you, Scott Service.
That was Scott Service who should have been
his name should not have been called there.
Oh my gosh. Scott Service should never.
I coached his cousin.
Who? Scott Service's?
Yeah.
Did you throw a ball at his eyes? Because I would have. I can't stand Scott Service.
Neither can I. But he's gone. So we're good.
Gone. But anyway, I just think it's going to go deep. I hope it goes game 7 just because I just think that is the most fun thing in baseball and sports. I just think a game 7 or a one-off game makes it so much more interesting. Unless, of course, it's like a blowout. Then I'm like, okay, who really cares? This was a waste of my time. But
cool. So we got Yankees, and Dodgers. Yep. We'll see what ends up happening. But thank you again, Nick, for coming on, and we'll talk to you next week and see if we have a winner. I don't think we will.
We can't have one next week. It starts Friday. It's Friday, Saturday, and then Monday,
if I go,
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay, I'll be here.
Yeah, if you should still you should still be there. It's just whether or not you're there for the next one.
Friday, Saturday, travel Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, travel Thursday.
Yeah,
perfect.
Friday.
My guess is they'll honestly bump one of those two to make them Saturday, Sunday. Would be my guess for the game 7, but I don't know. Maybe they do a Friday, Saturday. They already have it scheduled.
Cool.
Yeah. But
we'll see what happens.
All right.
But
all right. Well,
that's the MLB postseason.
Yes, of course.
See you next week.
See ya
later.
2 weeks.
Thanks for listening to the Kind of Athletic podcast. Please like and subscribe to all our social media platforms, and make sure to come back to hear more from the Kind of Athletic podcast.